My fiancée treated me like an ATM while mocking me behind my back, so I secretly planned my exit, cut off her money pipeline, and left her completely speechless. I'm Caleb, 32, and I work as a physical therapist at a sports rehab clinic. It is nothing fancy, but I make decent money and have good benefits. I have always been the responsible type. My condo, decent savings, no crazy debt. I never thought that would make me a target, but here we are. Let me take you back to where this train wreck started. 2 years ago, I was volunteering at this charity 5-kilometer run for the clinic where I work. It was a typical Saturday morning thing, handing out bananas, making sure no one passed out from dehydration, the usual heroics. That's when I first saw Eleanor. She was at the water station but looked way too put together to be handing out paper cups. Her hair was perfect despite the humidity. Her makeup somehow did not melt in 85-degree heat, and she was wearing what looked like $200 leggings to a volunteer event. I remember thinking she looked like she was dressed for an Instagram photo op rather than actually helping. But hey, who was I to judge? Here is where I should have seen red flag number 1. She approached me. Guys, in my 32 years on this planet, gorgeous women do not typically beeline for the average-looking dude wearing a baggy volunteer t-shirt, but my ego was like, no man, you are a catch, and my brain went on vacation. Are you going to the after party? She asked with this smile that honestly made me forget my own name for a second. I mumbled something about maybe stopping by, and somehow ended up spending the entire evening with her at this bar, watching her laugh at my painfully unfunny jokes and touching my arm every 2.5 minutes. Yes, I started counting after the 4th time because I could not believe it was happening. She told me she was 29 and transitioning careers from hospitality management to something called personal brand consulting. I nodded like I understood what that meant. Turns out it meant nothing. Absolutely nothing. Our first date was coffee that somehow morphed into dinner and then drinks, and I did not even notice 7 hours had passed. The second date was at this pretentious gallery opening where she seemed to know everyone, air-kissing people and introducing me as Caleb. He works in sports medicine, like I was some fancy doctor instead of the guy who helps weekend warriors stretch properly after they hurt themselves trying to relive their high school glory days. Looking back now, I can see it was classic love bombing. But at the time, I just thought I had finally found someone who appreciated me. What a chump. Fast forward 6 months and we are having brunch when she casually drops, my roommate Vera is absolutely insufferable. She used the last of my fancy face wash again and did not replace it, and our landlord is raising the rent to criminal levels. Long pause, meaningful look then. Wouldn't it make sense for me to just move in with you? Your place is bigger anyway. And I am there most nights. It did make sense. Logical even. My place was nicer, closer to downtown, and we were spending almost every night together anyway. So, I said yes. Helped her move her approximately 87 boxes of clothes and makeup and officially became a cohabitating couple. That is when the money stuff started. But it was so gradual I barely noticed, like how a frog does not jump out of water if you heat it slowly, or whatever that saying is. First, it was rent day, and oh, I am between clients right now. Can I get you next month? Then it was, my car needs a new transmission. It is such bad timing with me starting my new business. Then, this certification course costs more than they advertised. But it is an investment in our future. Always something, always temporary. Always with a promise to pay me back once things stabilized. Her business was always about to take off. The big client was always just around the corner. The collab was always going to happen next month, and I am not stupid. At least I did not think I was. I have a master's degree. I can explain complex musculoskeletal issues to patients. I can do my own taxes. But somehow I could not see what was happening right in front of me. I told myself, relationships have ups and downs. Sometimes one person carries more financial weight, while the other is getting established. I was investing in us, and Eleanor was always so appreciative, making elaborate thank you dinners or surprising me with concert tickets to see bands I had mentioned once. I later realized I was actually paying for all this through our joint expenses. She was essentially giving me gifts with my own money. Galaxy brain move. After 1 year together, I proposed, got down on one knee at this fancy restaurant where appetizers cost more than an entire meal should. Had the ring in my pocket all night, almost lost it twice, sweated through my nice shirt, and finally managed to ask without tripping over my words too badly. She cried, posted like 20 stories about it within the hour, changed her profile picture to her hand with the ring while we were still having dessert. I thought I had sealed the deal on my happily ever after. Once we got engaged, Things escalated faster than my gym clients trying to get fit for their beach vacation with only 2 weeks of training. Suddenly, we needed a wedding planner who just happened to be her college friend Jade, who had exactly 0 successful weddings under her belt, but charged us double what experienced planners quoted. She gets my vision, Eleanor explained when I questioned the cost. Plus, we are supporting a woman-owned business. Ah, yes. Nothing says female empowerment quite like overcharging your friend's fiancé. Girl power. Next came the venue hunt. Every place I suggested was summarily rejected for not being Instagram-worthy. I did not even know that was a category venues could fall into. Apparently, places are rated on a scale from no one will like my photos to will definitely make my followers jealous. We ended up booking this renovated industrial warehouse that cost roughly the same as a semester of college. It had character and the perfect lighting and amazing backdrops for the photo booth. It also had no air conditioning and was next to an actual working factory, but hey, aesthetic is everything. Then came the ring upgrade drama. The original engagement ring that I spent 3 months saving for was suddenly inadequate. "Babe, the stone does not catch the light right in photos," she told me one evening casually like she was commenting on the weather. Madison's fiancé got her a ring from this amazing jeweler, and he does custom settings that are super photogenic. Madison, by the way, was her content creator friend whose fiancé was a literal heir to a hotel fortune. But sure, let us compare ring budgets. Meanwhile, Eleanor's personal brand consulting business was about as successful as a fish climbing a tree. From what I could tell, it consisted entirely of her posting selfies and outfits she could not afford, and giving advice to her handful of followers about aligning your chakras with your business goals. Her workday routine was fascinating to witness. She would spend 2 hours on makeup and hair, take about 300 photos in different poses around our apartment, and sometimes at trendy cafes, where she would buy one $6 latte and occupy a table for 4 hours. Then spend the rest of the day editing one picture and writing captions like, "Hustle culture is toxic. Choose alignment over achievement." Then she would call it working. I wish my job let me count choosing a filter as billable hours. By this point, I was covering everything: rent, utilities, her car payment for a car nicer than mine, insurance, groceries, her phone bill, even her student loan. Some months, she would contribute occasionally, just enough to maintain the illusion that we were partners and not a guy supporting his adult dependent. "It will all even out once I land this big client," she would say at least once a week, or "I am investing in myself now so we can have a better future." Always we when it came to future money. Always me when it came to current expenses. One month she actually transferred me $200 for her share of rent. Then, the same day, asked for $350 for emergency Botox because she had a really important meeting coming up. Math is not mathing. The wedding planning was when she really ramped up the spending to levels that would make a Kardashian financial advisor nervous. We are talking $7,000 for a dress. It is actually cheap for a designer. Some of these go for $15,000, $3,000 for a photographer. He shoots for celebrities, Caleb. He did Madison's dog's birthday party, and $15,000 for the aforementioned oven-like warehouse venue. It is actually a steal for that location. They book up 2 years in advance. Every time I would bring up something ridiculous like a budget or financial reality, she would deploy her secret weapon, the tears. "I thought you wanted me to have my dream day," she would say, eyes already welling up on cue. Or the classic, "I grew up with nothing. I just want this one thing to be special," as if a normal-priced venue would somehow make our marriage less valid. And like the absolute sucker I was, I would cave every single time. I was paying for all this by draining my savings account faster than a bathtub with a plug pulled out. My credit score was watching all this from the sidelines like, "Brother, what are you doing?" But I kept telling myself it was temporary, that after the wedding things would calm down, that this was just pre-wedding stress making her act this way. By the time we were 6 months from the wedding date, I had exactly $842 in savings, down from nearly $30,000 when we met, and credit card debt that made my stomach hurt when I thought about it. Meanwhile, Eleanor had a closet full of new clothes that still had tags on them, and was constantly talking about the Cabo trip her bridesmaids were planning. "It is tradition for the bride's friends to treat her to a trip," she explained when I asked about the cost. "I just need spending money. Just spending money for a 5-day trip to a luxury resort. Sure, no problem. Let me just check my money tree out back and see if it is bearing fruit yet." And I kid you not, all that time I told myself this was just a rough patch, a necessary sacrifice to get to that happily ever after everyone talks about. I would make it work. I always did. And if it meant taking on extra shifts, putting my own plans on hold or saying no to nights out with friends to make sure Eleanor's dream stayed on track, then fine. It would all be worth it in the end. Or at least that is what I kept telling myself. But then something happened that opened my eyes to Eleanor's true colors. It started with an Instagram direct message that popped up while I was scrolling through mindless reels one night. Eleanor was at her Women in Business mixer, which as far as I could tell involved drinking pink cocktails and taking photos for Instagram. The message was from someone named Tiffany. "You do not know me, but I am friends with Mackenzie who knows Eleanor. I think you should know what she says about you behind your back." My first thought was classic internet drama, some random trying to stir the pot or get attention. I almost blocked her immediately, but curiosity got to me, and I responded with a non-committal, "What are you talking about?" Her response came with receipts, screenshots of a group chat called Bride Tribe Goals, where Eleanor is talking about me, and not in the "my fiancé is so supportive" way. Oh no, right there in pixelated glory was a message from my beloved. Caleb is basically my emotionally supportive wallet at this point, laughing out loud. My stomach twisted. That is what my fiancé, the woman I was planning to spend my life with, called me. A wallet with a laughing emoji. Like, it was hilarious that I was working extra shifts at the clinic to pay for her dream wedding while she was doing whatever it is she did all day. I stared at that screenshot for what felt like hours, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. Maybe it was photoshopped. Maybe someone was setting her up. Maybe there was context I was missing. Tiffany must have sensed my disbelief because she followed up, "There is more. A lot more. She talks about you like this all the time in the group." I did not want to believe it, so I decided to do some digging myself. The next morning, while Eleanor was taking her customary 45-minute shower, our water bill was astronomical. I grabbed her iPad from the nightstand. She always left it unlocked because, in her words, passwords are too hard to remember. I opened messages and there it was, the Bride Tribe Goals group chat with Mackenzie, Jade, and a couple of other women I had met briefly at various engagement celebrations. What I found was like watching a masterclass in manipulation. Eleanor was not just talking smack about me. She was actively teaching her friends how to extract maximum financial benefit from their boyfriends and fiancés. Some choice quotes from my loving partner: "Always create a crisis before asking for money. They are more likely to give when they think it is an emergency." Car troubles are my go-to. Men think they understand cars better than we do. Laughing out loud. Do not ask for small stuff. Go big. They question the small expenses more than the big ones. Caleb will complain about a $200 dinner but did not blink when I needed $2,000 for that business conference in Miami. If he hesitates, just mention how your ex would have done it. No problem. Works every time. I do not even have an ex who was good with money. But Caleb does not know that. And her friends ate it up like it was gospel. One of them literally said, "Girl, milk it. Men want to provide. You just have to make them think it is their idea." Milk it, as if I was some sort of cash cow just standing there waiting to be drained dry. Another one said, "I tried the car thing with Brad and he sent me $600, no questions asked. How did you get him to pay for your sister's car? I need details." It went on, pages and pages of them discussing their boyfriends and fiancés like walking, talking automated teller machines, planning how to get engagement rings upgraded, how to justify expensive purchases, how to hide shopping bags so he does not realize how much you are actually buying. Eleanor had apparently become some kind of twisted financial guru to her friend group, the how to bleed your man dry whisperer. But the absolute knife to the heart was when they started talking about their upcoming girls' trip to Cabo. "Cannot wait for our bestie getaway. Just us girls celebrating before the wedding chaos," Mackenzie wrote. I told Jason it was a bridal wellness retreat, laughing my ass off. Jade replied with the crying laughing emoji. Then Eleanor, "Caleb is paying for my part, he does not even know it yet." And then I read a text that made me nearly drop the iPad. "After we get back from Cabo, I am thinking another year, maximum, before I pivot." Eleanor wrote, "Mackenzie, you think you can get him to buy property first? Get your name on it." Eleanor, "Working on it. Playing the long game." Jade, "My cousin's divorce settlement was insane. Just saying." Eleanor, "That is the goal, sis. Gotta secure the bag." I felt physically sick, like I might actually throw up on our overpriced area rug that I paid for. 2 years of my life, most of my savings, and thousands of dollars in credit card debt. All because I thought I had found someone who actually loved me. But nope. I was just a financial plan, a long-term investment with a planned exit strategy. I sat there on our bed, surrounded by the life we had supposedly built together, and tried to process the complete and utter betrayal I was feeling. All those times she told me she loved me. All those future plans, the kids we talked about having someday. Was any of it real? I screenshotted everything, every single message, emailed them to myself, backed them up to the cloud, and for good measure, took photos of the screen with my own phone. Then I closed the iPad, carefully placed it back exactly where I found it, and went to the kitchen to make dinner like nothing had happened. Because for the first time since I met her, I had the advantage. She did not know that I knew. When she finally emerged from the bathroom amid a cloud of expensive bath products I had paid for, I smiled and asked how her shower was. "Amazing," she said, kissing my cheek. "You are the best for getting that rainfall shower head installed. Oh, and can we talk about my maid of honor's bachelorette party next month? I need a new outfit." "Sure thing, babe," I replied calmly, chopping vegetables. "Whatever you need." If she noticed anything off about my tone, she did not show it. Probably because she was already scrolling through her phone, no doubt messaging her friends about how to extract more cash from her resident automated teller machine. Little did she know, this automated teller machine was about to go permanently out of service. So the next morning I acted completely normal, kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her, made her favorite smoothie before she headed out to a content creation workshop which, based on her Instagram stories, looked suspiciously like brunch with her friends. But inside my head, I was in full strategic planning mode. The first thing I did on my lunch break was visit a completely different bank from the one we used, not just a different branch, a whole different banking institution where there was zero chance of any kind of information leakage. I opened a new account, requested no paper statements, and set up online banking with a password that was not some variation of our anniversary or her dog's name. I transferred most of my money there, leaving just enough in our joint account to avoid suspicion. About 2 weeks' worth of normal expenses so she would not suddenly find herself unable to buy her daily $7 latte and start asking questions. Then I called my buddy Phil, who has been my friend since college and also happens to be a lawyer, not a divorce lawyer. He does mostly corporate stuff, but he knows enough about the legal system to give advice. I had to swear him to absolute secrecy before telling him what was going on. "Dude," was all he said after I showed him the screenshots. Then he bought me a drink and helped me create what he called a strategic dissolution of cohabitation. Lawyer speak for how to dump your gold-digging fiancé without getting yourself into legal trouble. Turns out, since we were not married yet, things were a lot simpler than they could have been. No actual divorce proceedings to worry about. The ring was technically a gift so she could keep it, though I had plans for that too. The main concerns were the lease, any joint property, and making sure she could not claim I promised to support her financially. Then I did something I am not proud of, but desperate times and all that. I went through Eleanor's physical planner while she was at networking drinks. She kept this fancy leather-bound planner where she wrote down all her appointments and plans because, apparently, writing things by hand manifests them into reality better than using a digital calendar like normal people in 2025. What I found was gold, all the details about this Cabo trip with her friends. According to what I found, they were planning this luxurious 5-day getaway at some all-inclusive resort called Serena Del Mar. We are talking spa treatments, private cabanas, a yacht day, personal cabana boys, everything. The kind of place that does not even list prices on their website because if you have to ask, you cannot afford it. The best part, she had been dropping hints for weeks that she needed wedding stress relief and her friends were planning something special. Clearly, I was supposed to offer to pay for her portion without her directly asking. Classic Eleanor move. Make me think it was my idea so she could later say, "But you wanted to pay for it." So, I decided to use it against her. The plan started forming in my head, a beautiful, petty plan. That weekend, I acted all excited. "Babe, I heard through the grapevine about the girls' trip to Cabo. I want to cover your part as an early wedding gift." Her eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. "Oh my goodness, that would be amazing. Are you sure? It is kind of expensive," she said. "Expensive in that way people do when they want you to say, 'Money is no object for you, my precious angel.'" "Absolutely," I replied with what I hoped was convincing enthusiasm. "You deserve it. Just send me the details and I will take care of everything." She practically squealed, hugged me tight, then immediately grabbed her phone. "I have to tell the girls." "I bet you do," I thought. "Go ahead and tell them how your emotionally supportive wallet came through again." Over the next 2 weeks, I pretended to plan her portion of this dream vacation. Had her forward me all the booking info, asked about her flight preferences, even had her create a wish list of spa treatments. I was playing the role of devoted fiancé while secretly executing my real plan. I called my landlord. I owned my condo and explained I had a family member who needed a place to stay for a few months. got permission to sublet to my cousin Devin, started slowly moving my most important stuff to a storage unit when Eleanor was at her personal training sessions. I was careful to only take things she would not immediately notice: the spare PlayStation in the closet, winter clothes, it was summer, important documents, family heirlooms, and my prized collection of sports memorabilia. She never went into my spaces anyway. My desk drawers, my side of the closet, or the storage cabinets were all beneath her notice unless she needed something. Meanwhile, I documented everything I had paid for since she moved in. Every bill, every emergency, every loan, every time she promised to pay me back next month. It added up to over $47,000 in 18 months, not including the engagement ring or wedding deposits. Made copies of all her messages about me being her wallet and her plans to pivot after the wedding. Then came the most satisfying part of the plan. I made some adjustments to her travel booking, not canceling it, just modifying it a bit. I did extensive research and found a wellness retreat about 3 hours away from Cabo proper called Spirit Canyon. Their website was full of words like transformative, mindful, and digital detox. The photos showed smiling people in loose-fitting clothes doing yoga at dawn and eating what appeared to be bowls of grass. Instead of the luxury all-inclusive resort with her friends, I booked her at this place. No Wi-Fi, shared rooms with strangers, 5 a.m. meditation sessions, mandatory digital detox, also known as no phones, and a strict no alcohol policy. Their daily schedule included mindful silence periods, laughing out loud, and group emotional processing sessions. The cherry on top, it was actually more expensive than her portion of the resort would have been, and paid in full, non-refundable. I made sure her flight would still land in Cabo, but she would have a pre-arranged shuttle to take her to the retreat, instead of the resort where her friends would be staying. The shuttle company confirmed they would have a sign with her name on it and everything. I even called the retreat to make special arrangements. My fiancée is having serious pre-wedding anxiety and phone addiction issues, I told them in my most concerned voice. She might try to leave early or be resistant to the program at first. It is really important she completes the full experience. The wellness coordinator assured me they were used to resistant participants and had a strict no-refund policy for those who left early. Perfect. Lastly, I compiled everything, the chat screenshots, the expense records, the evidence of her manipulation, into slides I titled, "From Your Emotionally Supportive Wallet." Saved it to a flash drive and printed a hard copy. I planned to leave it for her to find after she had already left for the trip. Timing was everything. The trap was set. All I had to do now was wait for her to walk right into it. So, the day before her trip, I was the perfect fiancé. Helped her pack, double-checked her travel documents, even got her a new pair of designer sunglasses for the beach, knowing full well there would be no beach time where she was going. I was so attentive she actually looked at me suspiciously at one point. "What has gotten into you?" she asked while trying to cram her 6th bikini into an already overstuffed suitcase. "Just excited for you," I said with a genuine smile. For once, I was not even lying. "I put all your booking confirmations in this envelope," I told her, handing her a sealed travel document wallet with a resort's logo that I'd carefully photoshopped to say Wellness Experience. "Do not lose it. It has your resort info, spa reservations, everything." What it actually contained was a confirmation for the wellness retreat, a map showing how far it was from her friend's resort, a brochure highlighting the digital detox policy, and a note that simply said, "The wallet is closed. Do not come home." I had also included a printed screenshot of her emotionally supportive wallet message just so there would be no confusion about why this was happening. "I will not peek until I get there," she said, stuffing the envelope in her carry-on without even looking at it. "I wanted to be surprised by all the amazing things you have planned." "Oh, you will be surprised. All right." That night she stayed up late doing a farewell dinner with her bridesmaids. When she came home tipsy and handsy talking about how she was going to miss me so much I almost felt bad. Then I remembered her planning her pivot away from me, and suddenly found it very easy to smile and play along. The morning of her flight, I drove her to the airport, carried her bags, kissed her goodbye at security. "Have the best time, babe," I said. "You deserve it." "I love you so much," she replied. "Thank you for this." I smiled. "Don't thank me yet." She thought I was being cute. I was being literal. I watched her disappear through security, then went straight to my car and called my buddy Phil. "She is in the air in 1 hour," I said. "Operation Freedom is a go." Look, I know that is super cheesy, but Phil insisted we needed a mission name, and I was too tired to argue. I had about 5 days before she would be back, and I needed to be long gone by then. Once I was sure her flight had taken off, I tracked it on a map. I went home and got to work. First, I changed the locks. Cleared with my landlord first, then systematically packed up all her stuff into boxes. Clothes, makeup, shoes, jewelry, all of it. I was not trying to steal anything, just making a clean break. I carefully labeled everything and arranged for it all to be moved to a storage unit I had rented in her name. I left the receipt and key with the building manager along with a note explaining she could access it when she got back. On top of one of the boxes containing her personal items, I left the engagement ring nestled in its original box. I wrote a note that said, "I was going to be your husband, not your investor. Good luck finding your next wallet." With her stuff taken care of, I focused on my own exit. My cousin Devin moved in temporarily to watch the place and make sure Eleanor did not somehow break in and trash it when she got back. I relocated to an Airbnb across town that I booked under Phil's name, just in case she somehow tracked down my credit card statements. Then I went completely dark, changed my number, deactivated all social media, told my work I needed personal time off due to a family emergency. Basically disappeared, according to the plan I had set up with Phil. Eleanor would not be able to access our apartment when she got back. Her key would not work, and the doorman had instructions not to let her in. All her stuff would be in the storage unit I had paid for 1 month in advance. She would get the key and access info from the building manager. I had also left a formal letter breaking off the engagement just to make it officially clear we were done. Phil said this was important from a legal standpoint in case she tried to claim I had abandoned her or something. The last thing I did before going off-grid was set up an email autoresponder that simply said, "I am no longer available as an emotionally supportive wallet. All transactions have been permanently declined." Then I settled in at the Airbnb with some takeout and waited for the fireworks to begin. I was not interested in watching her meltdown in real time, but I had asked Tiffany, the one who tipped me off initially, to let me know when the chaos started. She seemed to genuinely feel bad about Eleanor's behavior and had agreed to be my eyes and ears. I knew exactly when Eleanor would land in Cabo. I knew approximately when she would get the shuttle. I even knew roughly when she would arrive at Spirit Canyon and discover she was not joining her friends at the beach resort. What I could not predict was just how spectacularly everything would unravel. The first text from Tiffany came about 4 hours after Eleanor's plane landed. "It is happening." She just called Mackenzie, freaking out about being at the wrong place. I smiled and turned off my phone. The satisfaction I felt was almost worth every penny she had scammed out of me. Clean break, no confrontation, no drama from my end, just gone. The rest of the day was weirdly peaceful. For the first time in what felt like forever, I was not stressing about bills or watching my savings drain away while Eleanor spent like we were Kardashians. I spent the afternoon working out, grabbed takeout from my favorite spot, and even started binge-watching, a show I had been putting off for months. I kept my phone off the whole time, not even tempted to check if she had tried to call. I figured if she was desperate enough to reach me, she would find a way. But then, after a week, I heard about it all, and man, it was glorious. According to Tiffany, who turned out to be the only decent one in that group, Eleanor had a complete meltdown at the airport. She had opened the envelope while waiting for her luxury shuttle and discovered she was not going to Serena Del Mar with her friends. Apparently, she screamed so loud in the terminal that airport security came over. Then she called her friends, panicking about how there must be a mistake, how she was supposed to be at the resort with them, how she could not possibly stay at a hippie prison camp. But when she tried to book a room at their resort, everything was full. High season in Cabo, no vacancies anywhere decent within her price range, and the wellness retreat she had been booked at would not refund her money, just like the non-refundable policy clearly stated in the confirmation I had helpfully printed for her. She was stuck. Either forfeit the whole trip and fly home early or suck it up and do the retreat. She chose option 3, blow up my phone. I did not see the messages until weeks later when I finally got a new phone and recovered my old number. There were over 200 texts and 50 voicemails, evolving from confusion to anger to threats to bargaining to sobbing. There must be some mistake with my booking. Answer your phone right now. What the fuck? Is this place you sent me to? I am calling my dad. He is going to sue you. Please, Caleb, I am sorry. Whatever I did, I am sorry. How could you do this to me? The people here do not even have conditioner. That last one still makes me laugh. Of all the complaints, that is what got to her then after the first day when she apparently figured out why this happened. The tone completely changed. Caleb, you are blowing this way out of proportion. Those messages were jokes. Everyone talks like that with their girlfriends. It does not mean anything. The wallet thing was just girl humor. You would not understand. We were all just playing around. None of us meant that stuff. Classic gaslighting 101. Suddenly, I am the unreasonable one for being upset about my fiancé literally planning how to drain my bank account and leave me. Yeah, hilarious girl humor. I must have missed the punchline while I was working overtime to pay for her lifestyle. Then she tried calling my parents, my work, my friends. Nobody knew where I was, and the ones who did were not telling. Phil had briefed everyone who needed to know with just enough information to make them firmly on my side. Meanwhile, I was staying at my Airbnb, starting over. I had taken a 2-week leave from work, using some of my saved vacation time to decompress and process everything. I bought some new clothes, got a haircut, started working out daily at a gym across town, and generally focused on rebuilding myself. From what I heard through Phil, who heard from the building manager, Eleanor eventually returned from her retreat to find herself locked out of my condo. When she finally got her stuff from storage and saw all the evidence I had left, she completely lost it. Screamed so loud in the storage facility that management called security. The best part, according to Tiffany, Spirit Canyon actually would not let Eleanor leave early. When she tried to check out after the first night, they reminded her of their strict 5-day minimum policy and the non-refundable payment. They also refused to give her phone back until the digital detox period was complete, as per the special instructions from her caring fiancé. So, she was stuck there for the full 5 days doing sunrise yoga and emotional processing circles while her friends were posting bikini pictures from the beach resort. When she finally got her phone back and saw my email autoresponder about the wallet being closed, she apparently threw her phone into a cactus. I am not sure if that is literally true or Tiffany's embellishment, but I choose to believe it because it makes me happy. Eleanor tried to salvage her reputation by posting some bullshit on Instagram about escaping a controlling relationship, and how her spiritual journey in Mexico opened her eyes. Posted a bunch of stolen photos from the retreat's website like she had actually participated instead of spending the whole time trying to get a signal to call me. But the truth had a way of coming out. Somehow her friends found out about all her manipulation tactics and the things she had said about them in private messages. Apparently, I was not the only one who got screenshots. The bride tribe imploded spectacularly. Mackenzie and Jade dropped her completely when they discovered what she had been saying about them behind their backs. Turns out Eleanor had called Mackenzie basic and desperate, and said Jade's boyfriend was one ugly haircut away from being undateable in private messages. Her other friends started distancing themselves. The wedding vendors she had booked started asking about deposits, and suddenly there was no wallet to handle it. Her social media following actually dropped by almost 1,000 people when she could not maintain her posting schedule of perfectly lit, obviously staged candid moments. And yeah, it has been months now. I am dating again cautiously. My credit score is recovering nicely. I have got a new rule: no joint accounts until there is a ring on it, and even then we keep our finances mostly separate. I have moved to a different condo in a building with better security, and only 3 people have my new address. My savings account is slowly being rebuilt. I blocked Eleanor on every platform imaginable and have never responded to a single message from her since the day I dropped her at the airport. As for Eleanor, I heard through Phil that she moved to Phoenix to live with her sister, started a TikTok account about healing from narcissistic relationships, has a highlight reel called My Escape Story. The irony would be funny if it was not so pathetic. Last week I got a text from an unknown number. I miss you, I am sorry, I have changed, I did not need to ask who it was. I just deleted it and poured myself a fresh coffee. Because here is what I learned from all this. When someone shows you from the start they are gold diggers rather than a partner, believe them the first time and close that account before they drain you dry. Some people do not deserve closure. Some people just deserve consequences. And my wallet, it is doing just fine without her.